Welcome to day 2. How are you today? I hope you didn't have any nightmares about cats scratching you last night. I hope you grabbed your kitty and you showed them how much you love them. But if you don't have a cat or animal, I highly recommend getting one. They have a healing essence to them. When I was grieving over the death of my father, my cats, Gus and Nova, they were a blessing in disguise. They comfort and love me through it all. I really do love them, and even if they scratch me sometimes, I forgive them. So are you ready for today? I hope you have found your own definition of grief, and have taken some time to really think about your life and what you truly want for it. Today we're going to talk about why we experience the emotions and thoughts we do after loss, why they happen, and what their cause is. Tomorrow, we will talk about the emotions and thoughts. And then on the last day, we will talk about a couple of different ways to help you deal with these emotions and thoughts. When you understand all of this, learn how to use it and actually do it in your own life. You will have the knowledge and the skills to conquer really anything in your life. You'll have a firm foundation to face your grief, find healing, and to transform your life to extraordinary heights. So if you read my first book, How to Get Through Grief and Gain Happiness, you may have noticed in the beginning, I lay out many examples of when a person may experience grief. And then after that, I later bullet point many different emotions, symptoms, and responses to grief many have. I think there's about 4 pages worth of bullet points. Why do you think I did that? I wrote that book in that format for a reason. In grief, due to the stress that is put upon us, our minds, they begin to function in a fight or flight-like response. Our minds believe we're in danger, and we go into like a survival kind of mode. Because of this, our focus, it becomes limited, and we tend to focus mostly on the negative and the danger. We can't concentrate or abstractly think. It's so hard to do some of the easiest things we're so used to doing. Our body's regulatory functions like sleep, eating, temperature, blood pressure, heartbeat, and energy, they change. Our emotions, they begin to vibrate and they impact us at a whole different and just a new level. If you look at my fist and then my upside down thumb, you will see a representation of our brain where 3 major areas are impacted. Here is the brainstem, my thumb pointing down. It mediates our main core regulatory functions like heart rate, breathing, and blood pressure. The next area that is impacted is called the limbic system. It can be represented as the inside where your fingers are touching the palm of your hand. Many call this area the emotional brain. What they mean is the limbic system's job is to handle the emotional responses that guide our behaviors. It helps gives us feelings when we experience life, basically. And then the last area, right here, is called the frontal cortex. It can be represented as the top of my pinky and the outer area of it. The frontal cortex is right here in our foreheads, right behind our skull right here. It's the part that makes us different from the majority of animals. This is the part of the brain that helps us express our emotions, speak, problem solve, make good judgment, access our memories, and most importantly, connect us with life and give us a sense of who we are. When loss occurs, it can shake the functioning of all these structures. Our job is to help these structures return back to normal functioning after loss. The majority of people's problems and grief is because of this dysregulatory overuse or underactive pattern in these systems. Some areas get so overused, they begin to shut down or to act in inappropriate ways. Or on the other end, they get underused and begin to shut off or function in incorrect ways. We must work to bring balance back into our lives. Our brains, they try to make sense of our world by looking for patterns. What's even more interesting is the brain cannot tell the difference between what is real or what is imaginary. So, for example, when we lose somebody, we experience it. But after the event has occurred and it's over, we tend to relive it over and over again. This produces very similar responses and symptoms that were produced when we first experienced the loss. We get short of breath, our heart rate increases, we have panic attacks, begin to feel pain in our heart, we become scared, sad, angry, in denial, tired. We may experience confusion, an overwhelming ache for our loved one. We sometimes leave reality and we forget for just a short time they're gone, only to be reminded they are gone by the pain. We look for a text from them or them walking through the front door to us, but they never come. We're left with silence, our thoughts, and our emotions. Before the experience of loss, our brains were okay with the patterns it was seeing. That's the reason why when we look back in our life, we feel like we were happy and life was good. Our patterns were okay. But then, when the loss happened, your loved one died. Your brain reacted because it did not like the patterns. The patterns it was given was unpredictable and it made it feel unsafe. So when this happens, it begins to look for new patterns. It doesn't care if they're positive or negative. That's why we tend to feel trapped in our grief, numb, depressed, or feel without meaning and purpose. We think about the past and how terrible our lives are now. Our thoughts pull us down. We become disconnected and we believe we have lost a sense of ourself. The patterns we tend to use to live our lives, they change. And to be honest with you, they're not ones that help us. We get stuck in patterns that do not help or serve us. We get stuck feeling, thinking, and being a certain way. Many of you are probably thinking, what the heck is a pattern? When I say pattern, all I mean is a way of life, a habit, so to speak. There are patterns of thinking, feeling, doing, and being in our lives. And for the majority of us, we're unconscious of so many of them. They run us instead of us running them. We use patterns to communicate with others, to survive in life. We have a pattern of brushing our teeth, taking a shower, drying ourselves off with a towel, driving, eating, sleeping. There are so many patterns. We even have patterns when certain things happen in our life. We have a pattern for being happy, and we have a pattern for being sad. For example, when we are angry, we all act a certain way. Wouldn't you agree? We use similar body language, speak in a certain tone of voice, and behave in a certain way each time we're angry, right? This goes the same way for all the other emotions. We have addictions because we're addicted to the same pattern. We repeat it over and over, satisfying our current dissatisfaction. We do things to survive. The next questions are your patterns serving you? Are you taking care of your brain, your body, or are you neglecting them? Are you in control of your life? Or are your emotions and your thoughts, are they running your life? These are all questions to consider in life after loss. You're doing so well. We all have areas we could improve on. We all have things we could work on in life. And all life is learning. So have faith and don't give up on yourself. Look how far you've came. You're so strong. With that said, I think that's enough for today. I don't know about you, but science class was boring. How many of you use that hour to take naps? I'm just kidding, Mr. Emmett. This is just a lot to take in. So take a deep breath. Look into your life and see what you can do to nurture it, heal it, and make it better. Most importantly, what emotions are you feeling and what thoughts are you thinking right now? I'll see you tomorrow in our next video when we talk about the emotions and thoughts of grief. Bye.